Drummers Universe.
Hello everyone, Drummers Universe family. Welcome to another podcast. Today I'm going to be talking, I get the chance to actually talk with Ali Brown, a man who walks a path that crosses the boundaries of both drumming and ultra running, if you know what that is. It's kind of like a marathon taken to the next level. So some of you guys and gals might be aware of the concept of ultra running or what it is. It's an incredibly intense experience, and Ali's like the nearest thing we've got in our community to someone who's walked that path actually. He is a dedicated and passionate drummer from Northern Ireland, and now a 3-time Guinness World Record holder for marathon drumming. So we're going to get inside Ali's head today a little bit about preparation, dedication, and discipline. His latest record, achieved in July 2023, saw him drumming continuously for an astounding 150 hours and 1 minute. And this remarkable feat was not just a personal challenge, but actually a heartfelt mission to raise awareness and funds for pancreatic cancer and mental health support charities, following the loss of his partner, Sharon, to pancreatic cancer in 2021. Ali's drumming journey is a testament to his endurance, his resilience, and unwavering commitment to his cause. And with over 20 years of experience in setting marathon drumming records, Ali has become an inspirational figure in our community, and has been making the most of his skills, which are a very unique a very unique combination, I would say. The drumming mixed in with this sort of passion for marathon drumming. It's an unusual mix. We can learn a lot from Ali today, I believe. And so in his abilities and skills that he's gained, he's finding his own unique path and creating a positive difference in the world around him. So join us as we delve into Ali's incredible story, the preparation and challenges behind his record-breaking attempts, and his insights in how to prevent injury, which I think we can all talk about, especially as you get into the later decades. We all start to have to pay attention to that stuff, and his philosophy of discipline and of drumming and of life. So thanks for being here, Ali. Thank you for joining us. Incredible effort and amazing things you've been doing. Is there anything you want to say before I start getting into your brain?
The only thing I will say is thanks very much for allowing me to be on the podcast, and a big hello to everyone at Drummers Universe.
Thanks for being here, Ali. We're privileged to have you. Thanks for sharing. I know that right now you're right in the middle of a very busy day. You're about to run off and support the cyclists, as you said to me just a little while ago. How many miles did you say doing? 400, over 400 miles?
Yeah, 480 miles in 48 hours. And I'm going to be at the first checkpoint, which will be in the next few hours. And I'll be entertaining on the drums and have the music going, similar to a world record setup, for about 2 or 3 hours.
It's a perfect idea, really. You're just like the perfect person to get for that gig, right? I mean, you represent what they're doing in our community at the highest level. So pretty awesome and very well deserved. So I hope you have an absolutely fantastic time today, sir.
Thank you.
Is the gear all ready to go? You just got to pack up and run, or what's going on?
Yeah, I'm all ready to go. Just load up the car, and I'm not far from the event itself, so it'll be not too hard to set up.
This is the lifestyle of Ali, right? You're right here doing a podcast with us, and then the moment that's done, you're out the door to go and play a 3-hour concert by yourself for the cyclists. Yeah, but congratulations anyway, sir, and well deserved. So I just want to say before we move into the interview as well quickly that any one of you who resonates with and understands how important Ali's story is and is a ghostwriter, please hit him up, because I think, and Ali was just saying as well, he'd definitely be up for this. I think it'd be amazing to get Ali's story out there in a story. I love audiobooks from people who've done ultra running and stuff like that. I think it's very inspiring to hear the stories of people who've overcome the challenges that are involved in that kind of thing. So if there's any ghostwriters in our community that know what they're doing, and you've got a background in drumming as well, this could be the perfect relationship. So reach out to Ali and let him know if you've got a background in that and you've had some results in the past, because that would be quite a collaboration, wouldn't it?
It'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be incredible. We really need to get that done. I think we've got to get that result. It'd be amazing to get Ali's book up on Amazon or whatever, and Audible and everything else. All right, so Ali, time to get into your brain if we can and try to learn some stuff from you. So all your endurance drumming sessions are pretty legendary, right? And you've done this 3 times now, not just once, showing a lot of commitment. Some people would just go, that'll do for me, but you've done this multiple times and raised money for charity on a regular basis through these endeavors. Can you share with us a bit about your training regimen and how you physically and mentally prepare for these events so that you can achieve the result you're after?
Okay, well, the first event I did was in 2003. Basically, I was asked at a music school where I taught in the evenings, if the owner did the piano world record, would I do the drumming world record, just to commemorate the first year anniversary of the music school being opened. And I said, I'll take on the challenge, not knowing how to prepare for something like this. The record at the time was 50 hours. So I thought, yeah, I'll go for it. No problem. I like challenges. And I didn't know what I was letting myself in for. And I was all dosed up on energy drinks and things like that there. By the end of it, we found out that the record was then 58 hours. And I was in a real bad way by taking too many energy drinks and things like that there. So it wasn't a good thing for me. Roll forward 2023, 20 years later, I did 150 hours in 1 minute with no caffeine and no sugar. So I ate clean completely. I had cordyceps, ashwagandha, things like that there to keep me going.
What was that you said again? What did you use to keep you going?
Ashwagandha and cordyceps. They're like
ashwagandha and cordyceps.
Yeah, yeah. So they are similar. They actually give you a bit of a high, but you don't get the come down similar to what you would take with an energy drink. So these are things that keep me on a level playing field, as it were.
Love it.
So it allows me to keep my energy levels up and I don't crash.
So for you touring drummers out there, take note. That's a nice idea. So ashwagandha and cordyceps.
That's it. Yeah,
I'll have to check that out myself. It's great.
But basically, the training regime for me to do something like this, I have to overcome the likes of sleep deprivation. That is the one thing that people ask about all the time. Where I need to spend maybe 8 to 10 months prior to doing the world record, and at weekends I stay awake. So I'm finishing. I have a daytime job, so I'm finishing work on a Friday after being up from Friday morning, and I'll stay awake till maybe Sunday morning. I'll practice the drum kit during the night at home on the electric kit, of course, and I'll rest in on the Sunday. So over that period of time, my mind and body are learning to overcome sleep deprivation. They're learning to stay awake. My body is learning to realize that it's dark outside, it's nighttime, I should be sleeping, but what it has been taught is to stay awake and keep going, so I can push myself that wee bit further. That's one of the main things. The other one would be, I'd be asked an awful lot, is how do you go to the toilet? So the world record allows me 5-minute break for every complete hour I play. So if I did 4 hours, for example, I would bank 20 minutes. So therefore I could take maybe 5 minutes for a comfort break and bank the other 15 for a later stage. During the record, then I worked around the rules where I could play as long as possible, build up as many minutes as possible, and I did a thing called power napping. So there were periods of time where I was asleep and snoring. Apparently, within 11 seconds, I was out for the count within 11 seconds. So I took power naps for like maybe 7 minutes, 10 minutes, nothing too severe. So what happened was my body had that wee quick nap and I was wide awake, ready to go for the next session, and that helped me throughout. So around 96 hours, I think overall I'd taken about an hour's sleep built up of power naps. I'd saved maybe 3.5 hours of time allocated of all the 5 minutes, and any breaks that I had taken were majority just a comfort break back onto the drum kit and just keep at it until the later stages, because obviously that's when I'm going into the unknown at over 100 hours, because I'd done 102 hours previously. I'm going into the unknown territory between 100 and 150, not knowing how my body's going to react, and if I do need to take a break, without, if it needed to be taken there and then on the spot, I had minutes banked that allowed me to maybe get seen to or whatever, or take a rest if it was necessary. So there was an awful lot of thinking behind doing something like this, and then obviously you need to have the right team behind you as well. So for me, something like this, you're learning sleep deprivation, sports science, nutrition, things like that, and then it's a lot of planning, logistics about the whole thing.
It's funny your story you said about, because it reminds me a bit of the Goggins book, because he talks a bit about the first time he ever tried to do that 100-mile run and he nearly killed himself. He said it was the worst experience he'd ever had, because he just turned up with biscuits and energy drinks like you, and he just tried to do it and then he nearly killed himself in the process. It sounds to me like you had a similar experience then, and then you learned very quickly from that. It's quite painful.
Yeah, 100%. At the very first event, not knowing what we were letting ourselves in for, thinking that, obviously taking a lot of energy drinks, chocolate, sweets, lots of sugar, you're
Mm,
going to be building yourself up with lots of energy. But the more you do it, the worse the come down is. The crash is horrific.
yeah.
My heart rate was really bad. Paramedics were on standby. We still kept
Wow.
going. I had to learn to mentally control with breathing exercises to try and keep everything on a level
Wow.
where I could still continue to play and not have to be taken or dragged off the drum kit. So a lot of things have been learnt over the years. So
Yeah. But that was, would you say, comparatively speaking, that first attempt that you did was again like he talked about? Would you say that's also for you was like much more difficult than the 150 in terms
yeah.
of how it felt for you because because of that lack of preparation, or would you say it was equivalent and it's just you drove yourself further but with more effective strategy on the 150?
Well, if I look at it, the procedures, the way I dealt with at the time in 2003, the 58 hours
Mm,
compared to the 150 last year, then
mm,
I know that the first time I did it, there's no way I would have gone much further
yeah,
because of how I was dealing with the process of trying to stay awake. Whereas now I have the knowledge of knowing how to overcome sleep deprivation, and my friends know about the art of distraction, where they can push an extra hour out of me by saying maybe there's only 5 or 10 minutes left. I don't know what time of day it is or anything. The clocks are
yeah,
away from me, so I don't know whether it's day or night until obviously the nighttime falls.
yeah,
But they're pushing that extra hour out of me to get an extra 5 minutes banked and
yeah,
things like that there. So there's no way I could have done it then. It was horrific when I look back at it now.
yeah,
And I'm glad that I survived it. Thinking about doing 150 hours
yeah,
also was playing in my head a lot because I'm
yeah,
thinking my body obviously is 20 years older,
yeah.
and I may not be wiser, I may be more, crazy by doing this, but at the same time, I have to think about my health. And I had to get signed off for health reasons to make sure that I was fit enough to do something like this and take on
Wow.
the endurance.
That's amazing. And so, did you have to do specific preparation with regards to your cardiovascular health for the checkups at prior to make sure that you would be passable, or and were there certain things that you had to markers you had to hit that are
Yeah,
measurable to be able to step forward? And how did you prep that?
I think it was more down to myself, and also working alongside people who knew what they were doing in terms of PTs and
Right,
working certain muscular groups as well, because
right,
drumming uses a lot of muscular groups. It uses all the limbs. You're like,
yeah,
drumming's not just the hands. The feet are
yeah,
going too. And for some people, they're either singing or talking as well, which
yeah,
is something that I was doing as well. Because obviously during the event, I allowed people to come beside me, get photographs taken, talk, and chat, and that kept me going as well because it
yeah,
distracted me from the time.
yeah,
But they're playing at the same time. So yeah, there's an awful lot of things there that I had to do in preparation in terms of my health, and it was more down to keeping the muscular groups that I needed required for this event done in the gym,
yeah,
and just keep myself healthy and eat healthy as well. I also thought about increasing my weight ever so slightly because I'm eating so clean during the week of the event that I'm likely to lose a bit of weight from
yeah,
doing the event, because I'm pushing myself. I'm
yeah,
trying not to eat too much. So I'm thinking about the amount of calories I'm burning.
yeah,
So just to give you an example, I had the Apple Watch on. It was on about 80% of the time, but I know that 24-hour period, I'm burning about 8,500 calories to 9,000 calories. And
right,
when you add that up over 6.5, 7 days, that's a lot of calories in one week.
yeah,
And a lot
absolutely,
of
yeah,
and you think about people going to the gym and they're happy they've burnt 500 calories in an hour, and then that's them for the day.
yeah.
So I'm burning an awful lot of calories. So a lot of that had to be worked into the event as well. So it was the eating as well as the health aspect and going to the gym and training.
Well, that's why I say this is comparative with ultra running, really, because I mean, in ultra running, they're only normally running for 2 or 3 days anyway to be able to get the amount of miles out they need to.
Yep.
So the extension of days you're doing is insane. But then on top of that, it is a very physical instrument. Like I remember seeing a study done at one point, and they could compare, a rock drummer, like say, main stage rock like Foo Fighters level, the amount of work involved in that 3 hour concert is the equivalent of a Premiership football match, in
That is
terms of
right.
calories burnt. It's
Yeah.
equivalent of that. And so, and as we know, Premiership footballers, they retire pretty early, you know, generally speaking. And so to be doing 7 days, I mean, obviously you're not hitting the quit. Probably won't smashing the kit quite like a 3-hour concert. You've got to last, but still, it's such a physical instrument. It's an incredible feat, you know, to
It really,
sustain that energy and keep it going. Like, but that's jogging pace, right? You're jogging for that long
that's it.
distance run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same thing
Mm.
about Mafia is that when I'm playing, I'm not playing slow songs. For the simple reason that I learned from the first event, playing a slow song, especially at nighttime, I'm likely to feel like I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to get tired really
Yeah.
quickly. I'm not playing upbeat, which means my body wants to slow down.
Yeah.
So everything has to be fairly upbeat for the entire session.
What would you say were
So
the variable tempos you tended to hang out at in terms of songs and tunes you would play, and what maybe some of the tunes you prepped up?
Oh, there's 2,500 songs there, so
Yeah.
I have a massive playlist.
Yeah.
There's some specifically
You might have the
designed
Guinness Book
for.
of World Records for the largest playlist actually as well. You might have to check
I
that.
the most amount of songs played in one session. That's possible. I actually did think about sending it to them and asking them about that, but then I thought, like, it's hard enough to try and get this one. But it's always
Yeah.
something that I have the evidence for. I can put that forward. But
Yeah.
no, there's a list there of roughly 2,500 songs, and I made it all up myself. I tried to work it in. I didn't know when I was going to take breaks, obviously.
Yeah.
So I tried to work out songs that are going to allow me to be like dance songs, a bit more upbeat for the evening time when I'm almost asleep, and pretend I'm in a nightclub or something, just sit there and go playing away. During the
Brilliant.
daytime, I'm trying to entertain people that are coming into the venue as well, because you don't want to be playing a lot of songs that people don't recognize either. So it's varied. I have said many times I could have been playing Dolly Parton 9 to 5, and I could have been playing Enter Sandman by Metallica the next song. So the range is so fast, but majority of it is all upbeat.
That keeps you on your toes then, right, psychologically, which is good. Having a bit of shifting genres
It
all the time
does.
is going to keep your brain
It really does.
engaged,
And
right?
yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is you're not allowed to repeat a song within a 4 hour period. So if I
Right.
do that, then the rules are broken. So for me to, I found out, I've actually done this event 5 times, and I've got broken the record 3 times officially. So knowing the knowledge that I have, not repeating a song was
Yeah.
very advantageous for me, because what happened was my mind's not thinking I've played this song, and then I'm thinking, did I play it within 4 hours? So I've got such a
Yeah.
vast amount of songs there, and then, as you say, tempos, tunes all the time. So I'm not, obviously I don't memorize every single song that's going to be coming through the playlist. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, happy days, this one's in now.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know I know roughly when some songs are coming in,
Yeah.
but it's even like the people that were there at the event were all love and life, because they were like trying to guess what sort of song was going to come up next, and then they were like, what, seriously, why are you playing this song? And then the next time it's the song coming, oh yes, and they're all partying. So they were enjoying the fact that it was the element of surprise for them too, not knowing what songs were coming up next. But yeah, the tempos were a big thing for me, and as you say, psychologically and mentally they were good for me, because they allowed me to change things up a wee tiny bit, and obviously then I could play left-handed, right-handed as well, and give my right hand a bit of a rest.
Oh, so you've been swapping up your lead hand as well, obviously for
Yeah.
rest. And if you, it's really really interesting this kind of concept, because I didn't think about this actually even until now. How much of this stuff were you jamming, and how much of this stuff did you rehearse and learn note for note?
I played, well, majority of the songs I kind of knew anyway.
Yeah.
And I listened to music every day, all day, every day.
Yeah.
I flat
I
out
mean, it
listened to
must have had
music.
a
So
massive impact on your drumming as a whole to
yeah,
play so much music over such a short period of time. It must have done something to your brain, you
that's
know.
it.
Yeah.
It's really strange, because I listen to so much music. I've played a lot of cover bands. I've played a lot original bands as well. But whenever I listen to songs, I'll automatically know. I'm not saying I know every beat word or every note beat for beat. I can't do that. It's impossible. I'll never get that. but the majority of the song I'll know when I'm coming in and when I'm stopping, and breaks and things like that there. So yeah, it's embedded in my brain now. Songs that come on, I can just, I'm actually sitting tapping away, fingers are tapping, I'm flat out doing that. But
and a lot of that is achieved through those weekend stints that you're doing as well. Is that
that's
right?
it.
Like when you're really blasting through the
So
entire weekend, you get through more of the
yeah,
set. Yeah.
so I'll pick part of a set, and I'll just pick it, play it in random and do it in shuffle or whatever. And I'll just play songs right through and take breaks whenever I feel like I want to take a break, and try and keep the record rules going whenever I'm training as well, so that I know, obviously it's a mind thing, mind games as well, so you need to try and bring all of that into play. So I'm trying to do that at night time, and then I'm during the daytime I'm trying to do things that I would normally do during the day over the weekend. Obviously I'm not
incredible to me that you're keeping a full-time job, taking a whole weekend with no sleep. Like that's when most of us are trying to recover from the week of work. And you're going off and doing that, and then so your recovery is during the work week. That's great. That's
No,
just incredible.
no, Sunday was my rest day. I did do that, but majority of the weekend was trying to stay awake. And I would have taken if my body's telling me to sleep, I would have slept. I would have took a time out. I wouldn't have been driving. There was no alcohol or nothing involved. I tried to keep everything in a strict regime.
Yeah, I love it. It's incredible. So my next question, really, the direction I'd like to take the conversation in is more about motivational drivers and emotion. So like, your discipline really, and the things that have been driving you. You've dedicated, your drumming records to raising awareness for pancreatic cancer and mental health. We talked about this earlier. That obviously, I would guess was to some degree this decision was. What happened with the previous one? Did you raise money for the previous one as well when you did the 58-hour one?
Yes. So I did. I raised money. I have asthma, and I've had it all my life. And
right.
it's
Oh
very.
my goodness, this is hilarious. You got asthma
very...
and you're doing a 7-day stint of drumming. Are you taking hits of of Ventolin and all that whilst you're doing this then?
No. I have. Well, for the last 3.5 years, I used the sauna and steam room almost 6 days a week. At the weekends, I would have sat in the sauna for nearly an hour and I have not used my inhalers. I've needed to use my inhalers for the last 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
And
that's
so
incredible.
that's another part of my training. But
so you've overcome asthma in order to be able to do that 100. That's incredible.
I did have
both my brothers have asthma. I'm gonna have to tell them about that trick. That's incredible.
It's brilliant. I can talk to you about that afterwards, of course. But what I did was every single time I've done a record, an endurance event, it's always had a meaning to it. It's been for charities, every one of them. So 58 hours, 17 minutes. I did that to raise money for asthma. 2008, whenever I broke the 100-hour mark, I did that for my friend's daughter who has cystic fibrosis. So we raised awareness and money for that. I also played 100 hours as a group with the other 4 or 5 people, 5 of us in total in Portugal. We played in 2017. There's only 5 of us in the world that have played over 100 hours doing the Guinness World Records. We all met in a big shop on Mal.
Incredible.
Yeah, we all met in a big shop on Mal in Portugal, and we raised money for UNICEF for Syrian children. We did the 100 hours together, all 5 of us playing the whole 100 hours. So then this one was more personal for me because I lost my partner Sharon in January 2021 to pancreatic cancer. So and she was into music and loved rock music and that, so and loved the drums too. So no better way for me to do something and honor her name by doing another Guinness World Record. She knew I wanted to do 150 hours. I've known in my head I can do it. It's just trying to work out when I could do it. And I think for the last 4 or 5 years, I've always had in my head I'm going to do 150 hours, and I'm probably never going to rest later on in life until I attempt it, at least. So I've done that, and thankfully I've come out the other side. So yeah, it was for pancreatic cancer, a charity called NIPANC. It's in Northern Ireland. And I also raised money for Mind as well, and I split the costs, and I raised just shy of 25 grand during that week.
Incredible.
And
that's amazing.
So, when Sharon passed away, I suffered 4 or 5 months mentally, sort of find myself in a rut. So I felt like the two charities coincide: mental health, any type of cancer really. they all have a link there, so they do. So I
Yeah.
thought I'll do something for both.
Do both. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's amazing. And so that's my heart goes out to you, man. Like, and it's an amazing thing that you've done there to try to turn this very difficult situation into something beautiful.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's a really heartfelt story. Like it really got me. Um, and what just out of when I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, well, a lot of people go through this in life. This is part of the challenge of being alive and being a human being. We've all got to deal with these things eventually in some form or another. But you made this decision to turn that into an equivalent mission or something that you could dedicate yourself to. But there's
Yeah,
got to be other mindset attributes to like your values or how you look at life, your belief systems that drive you to to go for something like this. And what was
yeah,
that experience like for you as a person as well? And how would you say that transformed you in any way, making that
yeah.
decision to go for this?
Totally. I think even from the first time I ever did an endurance drumming event, which was the 2003 world record, I'd never done anything like that before.
Yeah,
And putting myself through that, I realized that, how far can the body push itself? How far can I push myself,
yeah,
mentally and physically?
yeah,
And I think from then, I've always found myself people, saying something to me, and deep down in my head, I'm going, I could do that. I could challenge myself. I feel like I'm sort of one of these people now that if you put a challenge in front of me, I'll maybe majority of the vote will go towards go ahead and do it. I'll do it.
yeah,
So I think over time I've developed an extremely strong mind mentally,
right,
and that's part of how I've been able to deal with the sort of setbacks of the mental health and things that got there where I felt like I was suffering a bit. I felt like I had the mentality there to be strong enough to push myself out of it. But giving myself a goal, likes of a world record or endurance event, was something that I could then take my mind off things and push myself towards training for.
yeah,
Um, and that has also helped me a lot. Playing the drums as well, of course,
yeah,
is something where people have a bad week maybe at work if they are working or if they're full-time drummers, but when you go out there and you're actually playing the drums, everything disappears in your mind, doesn't it? It's just the music, you're you playing the drums, and you're just loving life for those few hours. So for me, the drumming has been a massive part of my life. I got my first kit when I was 2 years old, and I've always had an interest in it. And I think any type of musical instrument, if you can get into it, is something where you can find that you can not hide away from the outside world, but it does take your mind off some things.
yeah,
And I just find that me personally, I've developed a very strong mind, and I know that I want to let people be aware that you don't ever have to feel like you're on your own, and I have tried to prove that what seems to be impossible can be possible.
yeah, for sure. And it's for me, I just feel like a correlation there as well in some ways between what you're saying and what I've heard other people's stories I've heard as well, where they're kind of like, I know just after you go through a really difficult experience, you almost need to just go inside and deal with that first, don't you? But
Yeah.
then once you find, like I think Dave Grohl said that after what happened with Kurt Cobain, he literally just stopped music completely for a little while. But
Mhm.
then it just hit him. He was like, what am I doing? Like music is the one thing that makes me happy. Like it's like my therapy. And so then when he reconnected with it, that was like the Foo Fighters, that was what,
Yeah.
that's what made it happen. But he was always making music in the background, even, of his own when he was with them. So,
Yeah.
it's like sometimes we need to kind of like step back for a minute. But I know I share the same commonality with you about music. I think all of us will do, most of us who are really passionate about drums. It's a place to go, isn't it, to process. But sometimes you need
Yeah.
that bit of time, don't you? It's weird sometimes.
Yeah.
You feel like I need to drop everything for a little, even music sometimes. But
Yeah.
you always got to come back to it, right? When you're ready, you've got to come back to it and commit because it just changes your life again.
Absolutely. And that's just even down to practicing as well, taking
Yeah.
5, 10, 15 minutes, doing a bit of practicing, take your mind off a few things, and then
Mm.
you'll reset in a way
Yeah.
and get back into it.
I mean, obviously, sometimes you can still go there, but it just depends, I guess, on the circumstances, right? I've
Yeah.
had phases where I've had to just drop everything for a little while, but yeah, most of the time, music is such a wonderful place that we can go.
It is.
We're so blessed to be able to do this thing. I think sometimes you
Yeah.
forget when we're chasing those outcomes and trying to become great at the instrument, but
That's
like
it.
remembering that it's still playtime. Still a
Yeah.
place to go to let rip.
Yeah, and doing stuff like this here, the endurance drumming, the world records, especially with the pandemic, I got myself involved with Drumathon Live,
Yeah.
and it's run by a lot of well-known musicians, and some that I've become good friends with over the last few years. And Errol and Bev created this thing over the pandemic where I was just doing 24-hour stint for the hospital staff to raise money at the time for the NHS, and Errol was doing 24 hours as well, roughly around the same time. But then all of a sudden, I found this guy's organized something where other drummers are getting involved and they're playing 12-hour shifts, similar or emulating what a doctor or nurse would go through,
Mm.
and it's continuous. So this had started, and we were trying to do a world record. And I messaged him, says, "This is my thing. Can I get involved?" And that's how the Drumathon Live came about, and how I got involved with that. And I'm very,
Amazing.
very, I'm very, very grateful. And like the drumming world, I've just been opened up to it big time in the last few years. And now being part of Drummers Universe, meeting some of the folk at the UK Drum Show as well last
Yeah.
year, was just phenomenal for me. It's not really a networking thing for me. It's more like a community
Yeah.
where everyone's there for each other, no
Yeah.
matter, regardless of what level you're at. Everyone's, for me, whenever we meet up or we talk to each other about things, we're all sort of on the same level.
That's what it's supposed to be about, right? I mean, the Drummers Universe podcast as well is about trying to bring people like yourself in front of everyone so they can hear your story and connect with you. But that's it. We've got to look after each other in the community because you just never know what anyone's going through. I mean, we're
Yeah,
posting sometimes people are posting videos in the forum and they just need a little bit of encouragement or just like it's just a place to go where we've got other people that hopefully get it, and understand what it is to pursue this art form.
that's
And
it.
we're blessed to have a community of like over 90,000 members all hanging out. So
Yeah, that's it.
not
And
everyone
with
in
that,
there every day, but it's
yeah,
amazing that and then so you obviously you bumped into Ali, I assume, at the drum show,
absolutely.
right? Who's
Yeah,
a gem, and I've been
yeah,
working closely with
absolutely.
Ali for this podcast. She's often said she was obviously the connector for you and I.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a great team, it's really good people, and we've got to thank Ali for this really that
I
she made
really
it
do.
possible
Yeah.
for us to meet today
Hmm.
for sure.
Yeah, the other alley, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
the likes of the likes of the Drummers Universe is fantastic. And some
yeah,
people see the likes of people putting stuff up, and nothing has to be perfect. You can put up whatever you want, and
yeah,
people aren't going to say anything too bad about it. It's always encouragement that people are looking for or not looking for, but they'll get it anyway.
yeah,
So it's a wonderful, for me, it's a community, and
yeah.
everyone's there for each other. So I'm very grateful to be part of the Drummers Universe.
I'd love to ask you just to go a little deeper, if you can, into the concept of discipline as well. Like, although
Okay.
obviously you had very big emotional driving forces behind your decision to put yourself into these, and some of it was serendipitous, like it was like a scenario where like, oh, I could do that, but you must have felt called to it, and there must be some part of you that is driven by the living on the edge of what you can do. And so, what are some of the values that you have? Is it adventure? Like, what is it that drives you to decide you're going to do something this crazy and commit and push yourself to the edge? What?
Well, I've always found myself able to push myself in a way that I then come out of an event or from doing a gig or whatever, thinking, I am absolutely buzzing here. I could go more, I could do more, or I would love to do more or try something different. For me, the world records are a bonus, right? The world records are a bonus. Having these certificates as a bonus, being part of Guinness World Records, for me, that's all a bonus. And that was all about me. But my events have always been about other people. They've always been about spreading awareness, and they've always been about me helping who I can. And one of my only ways about spreading awareness is doing the likes of a world record, because that brings a bit of attention to the community and wider field. So um, for me, doing anything, it's about everyone else around me. I like to be able to help and support who I can, and for me, that's one way of how I can do that.
And do you tap into that on a daily basis when you like these weekends? There must be some of these weekends where you were just like, not this weekend.
Well, because I've done this for NIPANC, and NIPANC's very close to my heart, the Pancreatic Cancer Charity.
Yeah.
There's an event just happens to be this weekend, so I'm dedicating myself to help out. And as I say, community is a word that I would try and think that it can be used widely, and the likes of just doing something for a charity for myself is not enough, because I actually know some of the people that are involved with this event that's on this weekend. So, I'm not going to walk away from not helping. I'll always try and do what I can for other people and
Oh,
help
I
them if
totally
I
that
can.
makes
So
sense. But what
for
about those weekends
me,
when they're not, you've got no like external
when I've got,
accountability, and you like these weekends you're telling me about the 8-10 month of prep, and you're like on the
yeah,
weekend you finish work, your Friday night. Some people
yeah,
like to go out or whatever, but you're going to stay in and play drums from Friday till Sunday.
that's
Like,
not necessarily true.
okay,
What part of that process has
yeah,
been going out and being the
okay,
designated driver. And then
okay,
therefore I've been out coming home 2, 3 in the morning, whatever.
okay, and
I'm
then playing
still away,
drums.
and then playing drums.
But if you
So
what drive like there must have been some weekends where you like come home from work on a Friday and you just think I'm done, and
yeah.
then you've still gone, nah, I'm doing it again. What? So that I mean that in those scenarios there where you weren't accountable to anyone
Mm,
else,
yeah.
what did you tap into
Okay.
to get yourself to be consistent in the because like 8 months is a long period of time, right? You can some
Yeah.
people just leave it to the last minute, and it's only in the last month they start chasing that finish line.
Yeah.
You were doing that for a full 8 to 10 months in advance. That's a lot of discipline to do that, every
Yeah.
weekend like that.
It to be honest, it doesn't ever. I don't let it get in the way of anything else. So
Right.
I'll take on friends wanting to meet up. I'll do whatever I can at
Yeah.
night time. Then say when I come home, I'll probably take a few hours kip or whatever. But
Mm.
I'll realize that for me, the most important thing is the daytime is easy. Right, anytime during the 6.5 days or any of the other endurance records, daytime for me, my body's used to it. It's got so many years of experience of being awake during the day, but it
Mm.
doesn't have experience of being awake during the night,
Yeah.
unless you're training your body to work as a night shift worker or whatever.
Yeah.
So daytime, I didn't let that get in the way of seeing people and doing activities or whatever. But nighttime, then I would have had a few hours kip and tried to stay awake. The worst periods of doing the record are between 2 and 6 in the morning,
Right.
when it really you really are possibly in a deep sleep if
Yeah.
you are able to get a good night's sleep. So those are the times where I've maybe had a wee bit of a rest beforehand and then get on the drums and practice for those periods of time.
Yeah.
So I don't let I would never, yes, I'm training, but I would never let it take over from allowing me to enjoy my life as well.
Interesting. And but you still manage to constantly be so you're managing to balance your lifestyle, which is incredible.
Yeah.
So you're not like going, oh, that's it. I'm not going to do anything else for 8-10 months. So you're like still seeing people. You're still
Yeah.
experiencing life, but you're not letting that fatigue get in the way of you staying consistent and focused for that period of time. And you're
No.
showing up on a regular basis, making sure you're eating right, making sure all of those things are dialed in.
Yeah.
I don't know if you just go there and like, but have you done any work on yourself to have that level of discipline, or is it just something that you just kind of went, I'm doing it and you did it? Like,
I
is there
think
any magic to this that we're not aware of, like about
no.
your attitude?
I think there's a level of stubbornness there as well. Don't
Okay.
forget.
Right.
So for me, yeah, for me over time, it's things that I've developed, and it's the way my mind sort of works because I'm so used to doing endurance. I think that I can push myself, or I'm thinking to myself, what's a few hours? It's nothing. I have trained myself as well, as I've mentioned before, doing power naps. So things like that I would take regularly.
Right.
If I do feel tired and I know roughly a period of time where I can take a power nap and I can somehow get to sleep very, very quickly. And I've mentioned to you before, during the record, one of the power naps I took, people said I was on my back out for the count, snoring in 11 seconds, and they couldn't believe it. And then once I woke up, I was like a new person. After a minute or two of just recuperating from that, so you know I don't know. I just do what I can. But
You've
I
trained that
think
in, right?
I think it's something that's
Yeah,
embedded in me from a lot of years of doing things like this. And
yeah,
also when gigging as well, don't forget when you're playing maybe at the weekends,
yeah,
or if you're doing a gig and it's quite far away, you're not home till really early in the hours of the morning.
yeah,
You're probably still buzzing as well. A lot of people have
yeah,
this sort of buzz where you can't get to sleep. You've still got ringing in your ears or whatever. So
yeah,
um and then the next time you go to bed for a few hours and it's daylight and you automatically stay awake, and sometimes it's just an automatic thing you do. You don't even
yeah.
think about it. So I don't know. I think it's something I've learned to train myself without even really thinking about it too much.
Gotcha. I'd love to have a chat with you again about this stuff, Ali. I swear I could get even more info out of you. It's like you
uh,
got so much. You got you
I
like
could write a book. I
you
could
got
write a book.
yeah. You should. We can't get a ghostwriter for you. You got a lot of humility, but I'm sure that there's so much that you do mentally and you know we talked a lot about your strategy, and you're very strategic by the sounds
Mm,
of what you discussed with me. You've thought very hard about your preparation, which I think is obviously is very important.
yeah.
And but the fact you threw yourself in the deep end from the very beginning, it takes a certain attitude, a certain way of thinking about things. And the best I can glean from what you said so far is that you definitely have a spirit where you want to dig deep and find a way to challenge yourself, and you don't want to you want to it's like you're in this kind of mindset where it's like I want to see what I can do. I want to
Yeah.
you don't want to allow that thing to get the better of you, and you want to see what's possible for you, or something like this. Is that in the
Yeah.
right direction, or where what we used to,
I think that has been the case over the years, Matt.
is that what you mean by stubbornness? Is that
Yeah, well,
like
all my best friends will tell you I am one very stubborn person, no matter what it is.
so once you get dialed
And
in on
that's
something, you're just like,
my,
I'm not moving, it's just this is happening,
oh, yeah, it's game on for me.
right?
But it's just one of those things. Although I have said now that there is a possibility of doing a group world record on the drum kit, and I think we'll
Yeah,
go for the 100 hours again.
yeah,
That's the only thing I'll be doing, close to 100 hours in
yeah,
terms of drumming. I've done this for 20 years. I can put it behind me now. I'm satisfied. I believe I may have made the cut for the book this year, which is
yeah.
in production, and I hope that I have. And if that's the case, then it's fantastic. But I would love to share my story to anybody who's ever willing to ask me questions. I will answer them, not a problem. I'll not go about um, you know, talking about what I'm doing by opening a conversation up by saying, "Oh yeah, I'm this, this, this." But if people do find out what I can do and what I've done in the past, my achievements, then they want to know anything, there's not a problem in asking me a question, and I'm more than happy to answer.
I love also that you have tapped into the concept of a lot of people talk about this, in personal development. They'll be like, many of us will do more for someone else than we will for ourselves. And
Mm,
it's not necessarily, I'm not saying, it just depends on how you look at it, whether it's positive or not. But you obviously have a very contribution focused mindset. And I think it really helps, doesn't it, when it's not about you? In those
yeah,
moments that you're right on the end of threshold. If it was about you, you'd give
yeah,
in, wouldn't you? But because
that
there's people riding on you, breaking through
exactly.
those barriers, it gives
Yeah,
you another reason to fight on, doesn't it?
that's it. And then I also find that the likes of doing that record there, I finished that in July, and
Yeah,
I spent a couple of months not even wanting to think about it, not even wanting to look at any of the evidence that I had gathered up to get sent away. I didn't want to look at it.
yeah,
When I got my head around doing it and went through it all myself, like it took me near 3 or 4 weeks to watch the 150 hours back to check it all. But once I had the right mindset
yeah,
and frame of mind to actually get it all uploaded to my account on Guinness World Records, then I had this sense of panic, and I really didn't know how I would then see the next 16 weeks out of waiting for this to be approved or confirmed, knowing that there's always that small chance that you might not get it. How do
yeah.
you respond? How do you respond to that? And I was really,
Mm,
really anxious and worried about that, to be fair. So that's part of the part of the problem why I didn't really send it all away until almost Christmas time, and almost
wow.
December before I sent it away. And people were always asking me, how do you get on? Have you sent it away? And I'm going, yeah, it's getting there. I've uploaded a few things, but I did have a few problems with getting it all uploaded, but thankfully it was all sent. And then it was just that anxious moment. I was worried that if I didn't get it, how would I put across to people that it's not official? Bearing in mind the amount of people that were behind this world record. Yes, I'm the forefront of it, but the amount of people who dedicated their time and money and people just stayed at night time during the night, and some of them were going to work the next day, some of them were sleeping in going to work the next day. People were taking weeks off and they were sharing everything, spreading the word and all that there, carry on coming down, trying to help in whatever way possible. And people were like managing the whole event as well, especially my best friend who looked after the likes of the nutritional side of things and everything for me, and looking after the breaks as well. I had to have witnesses for it. The amount of people involved in this here, yes, I'm the forefront, but I was worried that I wouldn't get to be able to tell everyone that it's official. And once I did get it, that was the relief more for them rather than me.
Yeah.
Because then I felt like I did this for everybody and it was confirmed and everybody could sense a bit of relief. And it was like, that was a lot of hard work put into that, but we got there in the end.
So I get the feeling like you're a man of your word, and you really want to know that that you've lived up to what you said you were going to do, or that you've shown up in the way that you said you were going to show up, right?
Like doing 150 hours.
Yeah, and also in the regard of, like, I could see why you'd be that anticipation is difficult to deal with sometimes in life, isn't it? It's like you do all this work, but then it's just like sometimes our anxiety around whether it's going to work or not can circumvent you at just the last minute, right? But you forge through your mental barriers of actually just admitting it as well, which is something that you wouldn't even think about. But it's like, like you just want to know that it's going to be okay and that you're going to get the result for all the work that went in, and everybody else is going to get to celebrate that work that they put in. And it's like, oh wow, just the pressure of that as well, and just the weight. You just never know if someone else has done something somewhere else on the planet as well, and it's just like, it's like I've never thought about that. Yeah,
because it's official, because it's on the website. I've got the certificate. Then at the end of the day, records are there to be broken. So if someone breaks the record, then that's no problem.
But you got your place in history now from what you've done, and that's quite a feat. 150 hours.
Yeah, incredible. Being the first person in history to ever do that. There was the records changed in the 90s. To the new rules, were all set back to zero then. And prior to that, there was a drummer called Ray Duval who was the first person in history to play 100 hours.
Right.
At the time I did it in 2008, the record was 86 hours. So I then wanted to push the 100-hour barrier. So
you really did.
So in history, I beat the 86 hours and played 102 hours and 49 minutes. So and in history, I'm the second person in the world to do that, but the 150 hours, I'm the first person to ever do it. A lot of things that have never been done before that I've achieved, and I'm very grateful to that. The things you can't take away, but obviously a record is there to be broken, but it's in the history books. We've got it there. It's official. You can't take that away from me, and fair play to people that do break it.
Don't forget that extra 1 minute as well, Ali. You didn't just do 150 hours.
The
that extra minute was probably the hardest, isn't it?
That's it. The last hour I played the majority of it by doing Foo Fighters songs, and my last song was Last Song from the Foo Fighters. And so it actually, I wasn't going to stop at 150. They did the countdown. And everything happening then, but because the song was still playing, I obviously wanted to finish the song off. So that's where the 1 minute comes into it.
Oh, I love it. That's amazing. And that's drummers right there. Can't finish. We've got to finish the song, and then I'll sit down.
But I think everybody would get that and understand that. Let me finish the song. You can't just pull the plug halfway through the song. Like, come on. So exactly. That's where the 1 minute comes into it.
That is brilliant. That's a really funny thing to end this interview on, because you got to run shortly, right?
I do.
So I just want to say, like, first of all, I really love. I was going to get to the point of the conversation, the community, and you've done a wonderful job of talking about that. And so I just want to congratulate not only you, but all of the people behind you that were supported you, your family, friends, and all of those amazing people. They all have a lot to be. Yeah.
Just before you do go, I'm just going to show you this.
Yeah, let's see it.
This is number 1, 58 hours and 17 minutes. Okay.
Amazing.
This one is 102 hours
and
49 minutes. Yeah. And then this is the latest one.
This is the bad boy.
The 150 hours and
Incredible.
1 minute. That's all three
Amazing
of
work,
them.
sir.
There you go.
Officially amazing, as it says down the bottom there.
That's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's been a pleasure, and I do hope that people from Drummers Universe do um, understand that from doing this here podcast, we can all be amazing officially, no matter what level we're at.
Absolutely, brother. And I just want to double check before we wrap up. Is there anything that you want to tell us about that's in the future for you, Ali, that you're going to be doing? Or obviously you're out there right now still doing these stints for marathons and stuff. And obviously just a final reminder, if anyone's a ghostwriter, get in touch with Ali. We need to get that show on the road. But yeah, anything in the future for you we should know about?
Whenever Sharon took ill, I stopped all my gigging completely, stopped drumming completely, and had to look after her, and she survived 3.5 years with her illness. So I would love to get back out there and play again, but to be honest, I do enjoy my free time as well when I get it. But I would love to be out there doing the odd wee bit of drumming. So my progression from now is to develop more in my skills as a drummer, and try and learn more or learn from people, and try and make myself a bit better than what I am, and improve as best I can to then get back out there again and do more gigs.
Well, Ali, with anything, with the mindset you've brought to all of this, if you bring that to continuing to progress and do whatever it is you're going to do next, I'm sure it's going to be something awesome. So we'll have to keep an eye on you, and we'll have to get you back in one of these days when you're ready to come and have another chat about your crazy adventures.
Love to.
Ali, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you, sir, and having a proper chat with you.
I really appreciate it, Matthew, and also to everyone at Drummers Universe. You're all amazing. Don't forget that, and keep smiling.
Sure. Cheers so much, Ali. And wish you the best of luck with getting this book done at some point. I'm going to be on the lookout.
Hashtag get Ali the book.